Welcome to another edition of Claim Your Justice Facebook Live. Thank you for viewing today or in the future. This is a reminder that we encourage any questions. You can post questions below, or you can join during the live session and post a question. We'll try and answer it. This is designed to help the Facebook community learn as much as possible about what to do when the viewer, your family member, your friend, spouse, someone in your life is wrongfully injured in an accident, and they need to make a recovery to compensate them for their damages. Today, we're going to talk about a topic called punitive damages. It's not frequent. However, it's recently in the news as of yesterday with a big jury verdict out of Cook County. So this is a perfect opportunity to provide the information to the community about punitive damages. I have Jessica Wong Barrera from our office. She is going to ask a couple questions of me. I'm going to answer those questions, and then that should provide the information that we're looking for today. Jessica, you want to say hi?
Hi, everyone.
I think this provides a better format for us for an exchange of ideas and information. So, Jessica, what's the first question you have for me?
The first question is, what are punitive damages?
So it's a good question, and punitive is almost the meaning of punitive damages is built into the meaning of the word punitive. It's generally designed to punish, and it's not frequently. It happens in a case where punitive damages are available. But the concept behind punitive damages is that they're awarded in addition to other damages to punish the wrongdoer, whether it's a driver who may be recklessly driving or under the influence, or a company that's polluting the water around its offices and complexes. It's designed to punish a person for wrongful conduct.
Okay. The second question is, when can an injured person recover punitive damages?
So as I said, it's not that common. What frequently happens in a case where we have several cases in the office where our clients were injured by drivers who were charged with driving under the influence of alcohol, DUI. In Wisconsin, it's called OWI. In Indiana, it's DWI, not DUI. Basically, a person's charged with driving under the influence of alcohol. And what happens in that case is we have clients that are seriously injured as a result of these type of incidences frequently, and the person who's responsible has insurance. They could have a $50,000 policy, they could have a $25,000 policy, a $100,000 policy, they could have $1 million policy. However, the damage that they cause to our client can exceed the amount of the insurance coverage. And we've talked about in past sessions about underinsured motorist coverage for when a situation exists where there's not enough insurance by the person who's responsible for the accident to cover all our clients' injuries and the damages and the value of those injuries and medical bills. So what punitive damages allows you to do is to go beyond the insurance policy. So you could take the insurance money, and then depending on the financial resources of the person that's responsible for the accident, go beyond that. So you could have a guy who's driving around, has several $1 million of assets, but let's say he has only $1 million insurance policy, but you have a client with a $2.5 million injury. It doesn't stop there. First of all, most clients won't have a UIM, underinsured motorist coverage, in excess of $1 million. But punitive damages allows us to say to the insurance company, sure, we'll take your $1 million. However, we're going to ask a court for permission to pursue a claim for damages beyond the insurance policy. That's one situation. You have certain elements to prove. You need to prove that it's either fraudulent, intentional, there's willful and wanton, meaning that there's complete disregard for essentially humanity in the person's conduct, and that act, whether it was a fraudulent act in a non-injury situation, intentional act in a DUI, or willful and wanton in a DUI situation, you have to show that action caused the damage, and that we're able to establish to a court that awarding punitive damages will provide justice and the public good requires it. And the amount of the punitive damages will be an amount that is designed to punish, as we said, the defendant for causing this accident and discourage future people from doing the same type of conduct.
Okay. Who can punitive damages be awarded against?
That's a good question. And you, in a situation we were talking about, let's go back to the DUI case. You have a driver, and so we would ask that the punitive damages be awarded against that person individually. However, if the driver was driving a business vehicle and under the influence of alcohol, and we could establish that the business didn't do enough to supervise, monitor, or train that employee, then we could ask for punitive damages to be awarded against not only the individual, who in that case likely wouldn't have additional resources to pay punitive damages, but the business that didn't do what they were supposed to do by putting that driver on the road. And they could have had a BAID device in the car where the driver had to blow in each time the car started in order to start it, or they didn't do a proper background check to see that the driver had prior DUIs on his record. So the ultimate goal is to find as many sources to pursue to maximize the recovery and make sure there's enough insurance and financial resources out there to compensate our seriously injured clients.
Thank you. So what are real life examples of when punitive damages can be awarded?
So we talked about DUI. I think we covered that sufficiently. In a previous Facebook Live session for Claim Your Justice, we talked about a hotel scenario where how would we find a owner of a business or a third party liable for the criminal acts of another. So one of the examples I talked about was where a hotel worker secured the keys to a person's room, went into that person's room and sexually assaulted that person. So you have an intentional act, the sexual assault, the criminal sexual assault, and you have a scenario that certainly would rise to the level of you want to be able to have an award that achieves justice, the public good should require it, and that the amount of money will both punish the defendant for not doing what they were supposed to be doing, the hotel in the situation, and discourage other hotels from failing to do what they need to do to protect their employees. So you got a DUI, you've got a sexual assault, you could have a battery case where an employee, a security guard, let's say, just beats the living hell out of a customer who may be a little intoxicated or maybe a little out of control at a bar. And instead of just the security escorting that person out of the bar, they just beat the living heck out of the person. So again, it was an intentional act, and we want to discourage, we both want to punish the defendant and discourage others from having the same conduct happen again. And more recently, it was in the paper yesterday, there was a big jury verdict award in excess of $300 million against a company called Sterigenics. And Sterigenics was a company that sterilized, like when you go to the doctor and they're going to use a piece of equipment on their patient, and the doctor has the equipment to sterilize those medical equipment. And so Sterigenics, as the argument is, was polluting the water around the area where the Sterigenics plant was. And in this particular case, a woman brought a case and said that I believe it was her breast cancer was caused by the contaminated water from the Sterigenics. Horrible, right? Just, this should not happen in a community. And there was in excess of $200 million of punitive damages. And it fits nicely into the bucket of being able to punish the company for what they did and to discourage other companies from not taking the necessary actions to protect the property around them. Soil and water is very sensitive, and if you dump enough contaminants into it, it can affect the residents in the city where this company is located.
Okay. Are there any monetary caps on punitive damages?
That's a good question. So with regards to the monetary caps, we talked about there's insurance limits. And however, the insurance limits don't apply. So there, in Illinois, there are no caps on punitive damages. So in the case we just talked about, Sterigenics, they awarded a huge nine-figure number on damages, and you know what happened? It shocked, obviously, everyone who was certainly shocked the company, because I'm sure their offer wasn't anything close to that. But in Illinois, the judge, and in most states, judges have discretion to reduce the punitive damages awards. So the jury decides what they think it's worth, and frequently a measure of punitive damages is, you would make the argument, this company does $1 billion a year in revenue. So if you just give us 1%, that'll be $10 million. And if you give us 5%, that'll be $50 million. So a lot of times the argument is made to the jury that you take a percentage of their revenues or their profits, and you award a percentage, you take the revenues or profits and you award a percentage of that to the plaintiff to compensate them for their injuries.
Awesome. I do have a question, another question. I'm not sure if you answered, but are you able to sue both the individual and the corporate as two separate civil cases for punitive damages?
That's a good question. Yeah, you would absolutely make the claim against both. You know, the goal is to sue anyone who would be responsible for the injury. So you would make a claim, if you have the DUI driver driving the company vehicle, you'd make a claim against the individual and the company. But generally, you know, we have to be realistic here. The driver who's driving a delivery truck isn't going to have a personal policy that's going to cover him or her for the necessary amount of damages that our client's injured for.
Makes sense.
Jessica, thanks for asking these questions. I think this was a great format. I look forward to doing this again in 2 weeks from now, and more in the future after that. And yeah, I see there's one comment that says it was like the Aaron Brockovich story. That's right, from many years ago. I think it was Julia Roberts who made Aaron Brockovich famous on the big screen. Anyone listening to this and seeing this in the future, remember, we're here to protect our clients' rights and help them claim your justice. Please call us with any questions regarding personal injuries, workers' compensation, wrongful death. Call us at 888-885-3484. That's 888-88-KEITH. Have a great rest of your day and a successful week. Thanks, Jessica.
Thank you.